Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Emperor's New Groove Appreciation Show, also known as Mouse Madness.
Although the mouse did make the Final Four in his own tournament.
That's true.
Yeah, we swear there's no bias.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
All right, I'm your host, Irish Husky, and I'm joined here today by a slightly larger than usual posse. So let's go down the chat alphabetically and introduce yourselves.
Good. You there, Ian?
Well,
it's
because your username changed.
Yeah, hi. I would normally be last, but because it's Shiro Day today, I changed my username. I am Yun, and I am your resident awkward jokester, I think.
That's basically all of us.
Yeah.
We have fun here.
This is why
Yeah.
we work so well, I think.
I am Carrick Raccoon Bro and Namnit. I am the resident voice actor and also funny man. That's my only redeeming quality.
Don't sell yourself short.
I'm just like Family Guy. That's my only redeeming quality. Being funny.
I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the scourge that pecks at your nightmares. I am Darkwing.
Shut up, Darkwing.
No.
Anyways, I'm Ouija Prower, and I haven't been on the podcast in a little bit, but I'm back. Boom, baby.
Yep, that's right.
We're back in full force.
Actually, I'm back too.
Yeah, I'm Wesley, Dr. W, the resident Disney expert and nerd. I'm the guy with all the trivia who also knows these movies front and back. So they come to me for a little bit of expertise.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yorojats10. I am a writer and reviewer and enthusiast of animation. I am also a voice impressionist, doing the lights of Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and also Sid the Sloth, from Ice Age.
It's a hard one. I had to work a lot for that. Apparently, John Leguizamo only got the voice right when he had his mouth full.
Since you can do a John Leguizamo impression, can you do a Luigi impression?
Mario, and Luigi Mario.
Yeah. There you go.
Super Mario Brothers, the movie, an all-time classic.
They hired a British guy and a Latino guy to play two Italians.
Colombian, to be precise.
Perfect casting, clearly.
They hired a British guy and an Italian guy to play Latino guy to play two Italians living in Brooklyn.
A Colombian specifically, according to Wes.
Yeah.
Whole cultural mishmash thing going on there.
Isn't Illumination making a Super Mario movie?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure was actually supervising this time.
I'm sure it won't be butchered at all.
Yeah, totally.
That's a movie that I absolutely have to see, regardless of how well the reviews are.
As long as they get Charles Martinet as Mario,
legitimate means.
As long as they get Charles Martinet as Mario, I don't care what they do.
The only celebrity casting for the movie I'd be okay with is if they cast celebrities as the Koopalings.
Really?
Or maybe J.K. Simmons as Bowser.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Like if he was still alive, I would actually choose Dom DeLuise as Mario. I feel like he would have been a perfect choice for him.
That's not bad, actually. Well, I guess if you were going for the more Brooklyn, Lou Albano type Mario.
I guess so.
Yeah.
If you're not watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, you're gonna turn into a Goomba.
You know who I think would be a good choice
Mario,
for
look what I found! Look what I made! It's a rock, Luigi. You didn't make it.
It's a football. I chiseled it.
And if you do drugs, you'll go to hell before you die.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
The Super Mario Show reanimated collab is one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah. But enough memes. Let's get to
we gotta stretch out the time because we only have 4 movies today.
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's true. And there's our awkward segue back on track. Okay, so we're reaching the end game here. We are in the semifinals, the beginning of the Final Four. So, quick recap of the movies that we'll be talking about. I'll be explaining how each movie got to this point. So let's start with our Class A champion, The Emperor's New Groove. It's always the same.
Boom, baby.
This movie's story is absolutely ridiculous, no matter how much I wrap my head around it. Starting out as the 9 seed in the lower half, it was always at a statistical disadvantage, but it always powered through. Well, its first matchup was against the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. That one was kind of a gimme despite the lower seed because Ichabod and Mr. Toad isn't really all that well known, so that was just kind of a freebie and it won 15-0. The first real challenge came in round 2 when it went up against the 1 seed Beauty and the Beast, which was not only the 1 seed for Class A, but the number 1 overall seed.
I can't tell if it wasn't fair to pit the Beauty and the Beast with the Emperor's New Groove, or it was the other way around.
I thought Emperor's New Groove was gonna get absolutely decimated, but
I thought it was closer.
I am so surprised to this day.
Victory.
Yeah, 20 votes to 10 in favor of Emperor's New Groove in the biggest upset in tournament history.
We all act surprised, but we all voted for Emperor.
That is
oh my gosh,
that's
you're
true.
right.
Praise Cusco.
Yeah,
They say
I mean,
fine.
well, there you go. Anyway,
Everything revolves around him.
in round 3, it faced off against another Disney princess movie with Moana, and it beat it out 13 votes to 5. Which, despite the 2.5 ratio, was still the closest matchup. That is, until the Elite 8 round against Mulan. This one actually went to a tiebreaker, and I had to consult my friend who works for Disney's travel agency, and she chose Emperor's New Groove to break the tie. So you can thank her for the fact that it's in the final four now.
You know,
yeah,
it comes down to her.
Disney said Emperor's New Groove, right?
Continues the feel-good story.
When it came down to her, I was certain that Mulan would win because she had previously chosen Little Mermaid over Wreck-It Ralph. So I just assumed she always went with the Broadway musical type films. But no,
I thought she was gonna go that way too. But she specifically told me she picked Emperor's New Groove because it's funnier.
Wow, there you go.
Anyway,
and it's not like Mulan isn't funny either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Emperor's New Groove is just something else entirely.
It's on a whole nother
Emperor's
level.
New Groove is not a Disney movie. It's beauty.
It's a DreamWorks movie disguised as a Disney film.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Speaking of DreamWorks, how about Shrek?
Here we go.
Obligatory Shrek reference here.
I'm saving my Shrek tangent.
We'll get
are you doing in my swamp?
We'll get to there later. Don't you guys worry.
Okay, let's move on. The Class B finalist is Fantasia. Starting out as the 1 seed in Class B, I got an automatic bye in the first round. Second round actually saw a bit of a close matchup with The Princess and the Frog, but it won out 10 votes to 8. In round 3, it faced off against 101 Dalmatians, and this one was also kind of a close one, 7 votes to 4. Not exactly the highest turnout, but the numbers don't lie.
This is a literal democracy. We don't have to deal with majority rule or anything.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie, but the Dalmatians are multiplying.
Oh God, they're gonna kill us all.
And Leon's getting larger.
Airplane, I love that movie. Okay, and finally, in the Elite 8, it had the closest matchup so far with Cinderella. This one was almost a tiebreaker. The margin of victory was only 1 point, but Fantasia won out 9-8. So
And I think this one vote came at like the last minute because when I checked the spreadsheet, they were tied.
yeah, it was a last minute thing. I don't
At
know
the end
who
of the
that
day,
last
though-
vote was though.
At the end of the day, I feel like no matter who won, both of them would have been perfect representations of like early era Disney.
Oh,
Yeah, we have
absolutely.
the newest remaining movie versus the oldest.
Yep.
All right. Now moving on to Class C. The finalist is Aladdin. Starting out as the highest rated film in this entire tournament to not get a bye in the first round. Which means it was the first movie to face off a 15 seed Chicken Little. Aladdin absolutely wiped the floor with that movie, 14 votes to 1. In the second round, it faced off against The Great Mouse Detective, and once again, wiped the floor with that movie, 13 votes to 1.
I'm glad there's always just one person.
Yeah.
The second time it was you.
It was me the second time.
Yeah, I did say, yeah.
All right, and in round 3, it faced off against Zootopia, which I thought was going to be a shoo-in for the Final Four, but Aladdin managed to usurp it 8 votes to 5. I mean, Aladdin is the higher seed, but I thought with Zootopia's recency bias and current political happenings in the world, I thought Zootopia would get the edge. Maybe it was a turnoff. Who knows?
Obviously, Beastars is better.
That Netflix show.
Is it? I have no idea. I have not watched it yet.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's
Me
good.
neither.
Pretty good.
But-
Imagine if Zootopia held nothing back.
Part of me believes that the reason Aladdin won Will Smith.
Of
you
course.
think?
That's what I'd like to think.
I saw the clip for Friend
I
Like
mean, thank you,
I-
God Lord Will Smith, but
What were you saying, Wes?
I saw the clip for Friend Like Me last night, and it's like they sucked all the energy out of it. They're just trying to fly stuff over it, but it just looks all wrong.
When Will
Everything
Smith has a
about it.
lot of energy.
The timing's off. The motions are off. They don't have it's not as in your face or energetic as the original.
And when it is in your face, it's really creepy because he's got like a blue face.
Yeah.
I've got a bone to pick with Will Smith, but I'll get to him later.
I will say though, I did like the one shot in that sequence where like he was controlling Aladdin like a puppet. I thought that looked
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, it was kind of clever.
All right, and in the Elite Eight, Aladdin faced off against The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and like most of the previous matchups, wiped the floor with it. 12 votes to 3.
I think that was the only blowout.
Aladdin is doing a lot of janitor work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. But I guess nostalgia can only get you so far in a tournament with plenty of nostalgically powerful films.
There you
Right.
go.
Like nostalgically cosmic powers.
I don't even know if nostalgically is a word.
Itty bitty podcast space.
Ooh.
There's a-
All right,
Oh,
and
That does interest me though. Like,
Yeah, but
do
Aladdin's
people
the one I
already
have a
feel
lot of
nostalgic
fun
for
with,
like Tangled
so
or something?
when it comes to the discussion time, we'll get that.
Well, people feel nostalgic for Minecraft, so and they came out the same
yeah,
year.
true.
how long
That makes me feel old.
how long does something have to exist before you can call it nostalgic? Does it depend
car
on
model
age?
a
Does it
single
depend
day.
on your own age?
It
When
depends on
nostal-
your own age. In
it's
general, a car model needs to be at least 20 years old to be considered an antique. So
When Nostalgia Critic reviews it, there you go.
By that logic, Jurassic World was an instant nostalgic classic.
That's Jupiter Ascending is nostalgic.
Good lord. All right, let's move on to the Class D finalist, The Lion King. Like Fantasia, it was a 1 seed, so it didn't have to face off anyone in round 1. In round 2, it faced off what I thought was going to be a formidable opponent with the Hunchback of Notre Dame. But Lion King decided to go the Aladdin route and wipe the floor with it 15-4. A lot of sweeping going on here. And the sweeps continued into round 3. The Lion King beat out Tarzan 12 votes to 3. I was one of those 3 votes. Tarzan is an all-time favorite, but the results don't surprise me.
When you face off perfection against near perfection, something's got to give.
Yeah, and also it kind of had a similar effect to Aladdin, where people were kind of ticked off at the remake. The Lion King 2019 is basically just the same movie, but somehow worse in every regard.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Tarzan will be remade soon.
Wasn't
Don't
there
Yes.
already like a live-action Tarzan not related to Disney?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and
That
Yeah.
and it had
flops really
Christoph
hard.
There's going
Waltz
to
in
be
it.
a live-action Tarzan soon in 2016.
Yeah, there'll be tons more because I think the stories are public domain. So yeah,
And they'll get Rosie O'Donnell back.
Oh man. Well, Lion King had its first real competitor in the Elite Eight against Lilo and Stitch. And it was actually a very close matchup to the very end. 10 votes to 8, but it was in favor of Lion King. So,
not gonna lie, I was on the edge of my seat when you were like revealing which one in that part.
Man.
yeah.
I had to keep refreshing the
I
straw.
wasn't there, but now I wish I was.
I'm
Well.
very happy that Lilo and Stitch put up a good fight, though.
Yeah, I mean, Lilo and Stitch is amazing. Lion King's also amazing. They're amazing for different reasons, though, so you can't really compare the two. The numbers don't lie, though, so there we go. We have our final four. And the matchups are as follows. First, we have the Emperor's New Groove facing off against Fantasia. And then we've got Aladdin facing off against the Lion King. Interestingly enough, the one seeds are not facing each other, so it's possible that both of them could get usurped this round.
Right. And also, think of which one has the best memes, Aladdin or Emperor's New Groove. Lion King and Fantasia have good memes too, but it's Aladdin and Emperor's that have, like, the best.
I see Emperor's New Groove get used a lot more on funny Twitter posts, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll just have to find out.
Still need to write my thing.
It's quite...
Sure, though.
I find it lovely that our matchups are two films that are thematically pretty similar, since they're both from the same era, and two films that could not be more wildly different.
Yeah, and I'm amazed that Fantasia made the final four, and we haven't talked a lot about how Mickey Mouse himself is in it, so...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, since I finally rewatched Fantasia, like, recently, I'll be able to have new things to say about it. And I even have some questions, too.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
Right,
so-
but
Yes.
the mouse lived up to his title. It's still Mouse Madness as long as the mouse is in it.
yes. So, let's get into that first round. It's Mouse versus Meme. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Mouse versus me! And so, with Fantasia, there are a couple things that, well, first off, I can see why it's considered, like, of all the package films, to be the definitive one, because of all the films, it uses classical music the most consistently, and it feels the most, like, the animation feels like it blends in perfectly with it, and every single short film in it is incredibly memorable. Like, there's not a miss, whereas in other package films you could just kind of skip over some of them and you wouldn't miss much.
Yeah,
So-
I made a mixtape, basically. I did the Music Land project where I picked and chose melody time and make my music and mix them together. It was like a highlight reel. So, yeah, I totally get why you would take...
Wesley dropping his mixtape over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Got nuked from YouTube, but I still did drop that. But yeah, also so what you said. One complaint I hear a lot about this movie, though, is about Deems Taylor spoiling everything.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
Curse
So
you,
with the Deems Taylor stuff, was that all scripted or improvised?
I'm pretty sure it was scripted. It's supposed to be like at a concert. I'm sure telling the story all the way through would probably work great in an actual orchestra where there are no visuals. But it's kind of weird how he does spoil stuff. Then again, they did cut down a lot of his audio for future releases of it. A lot of what you hear is actually restored and overdubbed by Corey Burton, because apparently the original masters were unusable, though they're trying to rework those. So
Kind
So
of like the last round one podcast.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's
So
actually
is
kind
the
of fitting that Corey Burton was the one to dub it, since he is the voice of Yensid.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is true. So is Corey Burton in the version on Disney Plus?
I think
Yeah, he is.
Wow, because I was not able to tell that was him at all.
And Corey Burton is like definitely one of the more underrated voice actors out there. Like, I really love a lot of his stuff.
Not
Like,
all of Taylor's audio was lost, but several key moments were, and the transition's kind of seamless.
Well, there are some transitions where it's like when he's introducing Mickey Mouse's short, where it's like, and he realized, and he had a spell that he couldn't finish, and then it sounded like he got cut off as he was saying finish, like he wasn't able to finish his sentence.
That might have been it. That might have been the
So,
overdub.
if it kind of ended like The Sopranos, where they just cut to black in mid.
But
Yep, basically.
yeah,
And then and that, and
so-
I also. What else were you to say, Carrick?
so from what I researched, the people that were there, they didn't actually play their instruments, right?
No, it's pantomime, like a music video.
So was that one part where the guy was just kind of going crazy on his violin and everyone else was like joining along in improv? Was that scripted?
I think it might have been, yeah.
Yeah, like
Or the part where the guy was falling on his chimes, was that scripted?
Yeah. Hard to tell for an 80-year-old movie, but yeah, I think a lot of the moments were scripted because it was like a music video. They had the playback technology, which had just been invented in the 30s, I think.
And I guess maybe adding flubs like that, it would make sense, because if they're trying to replicate the feel of an actual live performance, because when
I've
you're
been to an orchestra, they really do freestyle like that sometimes.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
whenever you do things live, every now and then mistakes might happen, such as falling on your instrument.
I also heard that during the original release of Fantasia, like back in 1940, they were actually given like little ballads, like little packets, like sort of like you would get at an actual concert.
Like a program.
Yeah.
Oh,
Program,
sweet.
Yeah, like that. And
The book.
yeah. But what else was I gonna say? Fantasia. Like, oh yeah, like interesting about Fantasia 2000, like the scores for those films started recording back to like in 1993 up until the late 90s.
Wow.
Like, because that's how much production went into that one. Yes, they don't exactly start recording that for like 1939. They really went through a lot of time recording that for like a couple of years, actually.
Fantasia was supposed to be a bit more of a recurring thing, but then it bombed at the box office both times.
Yeah.
Because
So-
the public
guess
were
I
a bunch of uncultured swines.
Yeah. Maybe I could go to Wolf Trap and see something like that. I went to Wolf Trap when they did Lord of the Rings with live orchestra. It should be similar with Fantasia.
All right, so in the beginning, he says that there are 3 types of shorts that they do. One that is about like abstract music, one that has clear images but like a non-linear story, and one that tells like an exact story.
Yeah, the last one we call program music. Think of it like a Pink Floyd concept album where it follows a clear pattern and you can tell where the story's going just through the music.
Or a Ninja Sex Party song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTuber
my-
Jay Extreme released a model for concept albums, with 0 being no concept, like a greatest hits album, and 5 being absolute story committal, Pink Floyd, American Idiot, Clipping, Splendor and Misery, that sort of thing, where you can't separate the album from the story. But
Right.
in the middle, level 4, just down that, he had accompanying music. And he said stuff like Hamilton or Hadestown could go either way depending on how much you take into the visuals.
So my question is, for each of the shorts going down in order they appear, where would you place each of them in each of these categories?
The first one, what they definitely said was absolutist.
Right?
That was the abstraction. Nutcracker Suite was intended as program music because it's the soundtrack to a ballet, but they were trying to go with the number 2. Sorcerer's Apprentice is probably the most rigid story-based one. Rite of Spring is another number 2, even though it has a progression. Stravinsky was trying to bend the abstract, go a little bit more ballet.
Meet the soundtrack.
Yeah, Meet the
Does
Soundtrack.
Meet the Soundtrack count?
Yeah, that's probably just the absolutionist
Yeah.
thing. It's a tech demo. A tech demo in a movie. Then Symphony Pastoral is also number 2, where they have the images and the ideas, but there's still a theme. Dance of the Hour is also a theme. That's probably like a 2.5 because it would tell the story. And Bald Mountain Ave Maria are like 2 sets of the distinct images pieced together to tell one story. It's a juxtaposition because it shows the chaos, but Bald Mountain also ends with a sunrise. So that would flow into the Ave Maria, which has the images, and it kind of bookends to the first segment by showing the same colors and ideas come back in the new segment.
Okay, so the reason I asked was because when he brought up that idea of having those 3 types of music, and I tried to place each of the sequences into a category. I was thinking, I feel like I'm placing a lot of these into the themes category. There's no way that they would just have all of the music be themes and only a couple be something different. But so why would they bring up that idea if they're only going to do like 1 or 2 that aren't themes?
Right.
That's I just think it's a little odd that they wouldn't have more variety there.
Yeah, maybe
maybe
the animators just wanted to have a little bit more fun. I don't know. Even Chimkana and Fugue, some people think was meant to be the soundtrack of a passing storm.
Honestly, though, I think it was for the best because letting the animators just have free roaming, I feel, is what made this film so memorable, because they specifically said at the beginning that these animators are not musicians. And that's what made those images so interesting, because it's the perspective of someone just listening to the music.
Right, they weren't like Frisk Freeling. They didn't know the instruments, so they just went off what they heard.
Yeah, I think the reason why The Sorcerer's Apprentice has like the only big 3-part item has like a definitive story, because they actually started out just making a short based on The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then they said, hey, why don't we make like a whole feature of these? And that's how it came to be.
And Leopold agreed to do it for free because he liked The Sorcerer's Apprentice so much.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen The Sorcerer's Apprentice with Nicolas Cage?
Where?
Crazy.
That was so
God. Oh my God, not the bees!
It's so forgettable. I mean, like, really,
there's no Mickey Mouse whatsoever in it. And they don't even adapt The Sorcerer's Apprentice until
they tried to take like a moment. Like the original story gets like 5 minutes of screen time tops. Like he messes up the brooms, Nick Cage comes in and turns them back. That whole sequence takes 5 minutes.
And they try to like reference the scene with him chopping the broom up with the axe, like his shadow on the wall. It's just dull and lifeless. Like when you look at the original, it was like something out of like a scary movie with like the red lighting, him chopping at a broom, just like chopping it to pieces, like killing this
and how it goes
thing that was brought to life by him.
Not to mention the percussion.
From the bright red to the monochrome look to symbolize the fading of life.
Yeah, that background. And then it turns out it's Hydra rules, and it just formed into many more brooms.
Yeah,
rule of thumb for magic: they don't die.
Because they had to make a counter spell to stop the broom.
So basically, the Sorcerer's Apprentice thought they could replace Mickey Mouse with a Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon, but I don't think it worked.
Nope.
I think this is maybe why I'm not a big How to Train Your Dragon guy, because there's part of me that just cannot stand the guy's voice. Like
Jay Baruchel.
Like I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life, but there's just something about his voice that really just doesn't sit well with me.
He's a Canadian. You can't trust him.
He's a hoser.
He's a Canadian. He isn't real.
Wait, Canada isn't real?
We just have
Canada's real. It's Finland that's not real.
It's just not, man.
Finland.
The Canadians everywhere.
premature that Canada is basically the Ned Flanders of North America.
No, but according to Meet the Robinsons, it's North Montana now.
Uh-huh.
But
Could you imagine?
they had this, and yeah, I tried to be watching. The Rite of Spring is beautiful visually and has those ideas and visuals. I just can't help but feel like the paleontology is 80 years out of date, and an updated version would be way cooler because it's so much more surreal.
I would love to see a meteor.
Right, and also
never really
he
was
said
a fan
the
of
dinosaurs
the
weren't
Rite
very
of Spring.
bright. Well, some of them weren't. They had a lot of the predatory ones, and this was even before Deinonychus was discovered in the 60s. That was a smart dinosaur right there.
Wow.
Imagine if Fantasia was remade shot for shot with today's graphics.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, they also had the idea in their head that the stereotype of dinosaurs is big lumbering lizards rather than the agile, quick-footed bird-like creatures we think of them today. When I was being born, it was right on the cusp. We were just starting to transition into the bird creatures.
When I was
wrote on Twitter after watching this movie, the word dinosaur, terrible lizard, came from Sir Richard Owen analyzing fossil teeth. Had he had a bit more to go off of, like, say, a foot, they could have been Dinornithia instead.
When I was a boy, we
Terrible
still
bird.
thought that dinosaurs lived with cavemen.
We are all bird people.
The Flintstones was a documentary.
Right, but I'm kind of a paleo nerd because, like every kid, I was obsessed with dinosaurs.
Dude, I loved dinosaurs so much. Jurassic Park was my jam.
Yeah, that we're up to date because they had Bob Bacher and Jack Horner and those guys do consulting.
It sucks that when they were making Jurassic World, that's when all this stuff came out about dinosaurs and what they actually were. So the writers were kind of stuck in a corner. Like, on the one hand, we could make the dinosaurs more accurate to what we know. On the other hand, this is already set in the universe of Jurassic Park, where we've established that dinosaurs look like this specifically, so it would be like a continuity error.
I would say they're mutant dinosaurs. They didn't sequence the genome just right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they didn't get Jurassic right either. But that's an old meme anyway.
Yeah, but still, Red of Spring still at least looks kind of cool, and I like the transition sequences. And the part with the pteranodons also. Yeah, they had pteranodons dive bombing. They're sort of like modern seabirds. Now imagine seeing like an albatross dive, but it's something the size of a biplane.
Wow.
Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and they always have the risk of getting eaten by a sea dinosaur. That part made me jump scare when I watched that.
Honestly, what you were
I was
saying,
like,
what you were saying. Now I'm just imagining that famous scene from North by Northwest, except the biplane is replaced with the pteranodon.
Oh, that would be way better.
Yeah, like North by Northwest, but with like Peter Griffin in that one Family Guy poster.
Well, that is what happened in the episode.
Yeah.
It was, and then they ended up on Mount Rushmore, and he pretended to be a booger. But Pastoral Symphony. This is a nitpick, admittedly, but why do they call him Bacchus instead of Dionysus?
They screwed up all the names. They said Morpheus was the god of sleep, but it would actually be Nyx, god of night. And they also mixed up Artemis's name, called her Diana. At least be consistent with your names. I think.
Yeah, they were mixing like Latin and Greek and Roman. It was very bizarre.
Just decide on something.
Stick with it. Also, you think that segment might have been the inspiration for My Little Pony?
What do you mean?
The Pegasi?
Oh, maybe.
I think Lauren Faust said she took inspiration from it.
Were there any alicorns?
No.
Yeah.
There were unicorns and earth ponies, though.
Well, technically, My Little Pony invented that term. Alicorn used to just mean the material that a unicorn horn was made from.
Yeah, winged unicorns existed in art, and I think they weren't Greek sources. I think they were Arabic and Hebrew sources.
Ever notice how the daddy Pegasus and Pegasi in that movie, Fantasia, look scary as hell.
Yeah, you would think that they're evil, but
Yep,
then
yep. Black fur, red eyes. It's like, Daddy Pegasi.
Yeah, and yet they hang around the water and pull their wings back like swans.
he's been smoking the reefer again.
And why do I feel like he's gonna sound like She-Ra's horse from the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special?
He's just a demon,
Yeah,
or like
they get drunk on rainbows more than actual wine. I forget, was Dionysus in Hercules? I think he was with that design. So
yeah. But they called him Dionysus.
yeah, they kept it consistent with Greece.
So, I would be curious to see my mom's reaction to that short, since she found Hercules to be super inaccurate, and that's why she didn't like it for a long time.
Yeah. Well, with the pastoral, it's just the names they mix up. Even though Zeus,
there's a lot of inaccuracies about that short.
Yeah, even though they keep Zeus for whatever reason named Zeus.
Remember, kids, it's okay to show bare-chested women as long as you don't show a nipple.
Like Barbie dolls, yeah.
Or Minnie Mouse.
Exactly.
On the subject of the pastoral sympathy, what do you guys know about Sunflower?
That's what I was implying.
The black centaur that had to be cut.
Oh yeah.
We're going there again.
Well, I mean, we've already talked about Aristocats, Peter Pan.
I mean, as long as
Lady
we
and the
handle it
Tramp.
appropriately, then I'm pretty sure it'd be fine.
Yeah,
Like,
but
coincidentally, though, I've heard that Sunflower was taken out after Walt Disney passed away.
I saw the frame where Sunflower should be. They just crop it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I was looking for her too, but I think that's the frame where it happened.
the footage is on YouTube. You can look it up whenever you want.
I'm looking at a picture right now, and yeah,
Ooh boy,
probably for the best that they cut that out.
Yeah,
It's
it's a black centaur, a white centaur.
Isn't it hilarious going back to your favorite old cartoons like Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes and forgetting how much blackface there was?
Well, Fantasia did start with the disclaimer, so
Yeah.
Disney Plus, they had you wait 15 seconds to read that blurb.
It took Disney Plus months to finally give their films those kinds of disclaimers. It took them forever.
And Fantasia, in my opinion, is the ultimate tugging at the neck collar. Like, ugh.
I would still argue that reward goes to Peter Pan, though.
Right.
Yeah, that's less tugging at the collar though, and more just like squirming in your seat for 20 minutes.
Sticking your head into a hole like an ostrich.
Yeah, which they don't actually do.
Speaking of which, I think the Dance of the Hours segment might be one of my favorite ones because of how funny it is.
Basically a Tom and Jerry short.
Yeah, but more like classical and smooth as opposed to rough and like impactful, I guess you could say.
I'm always surprised how that one breeze carries off like about 10 Indian elephants like they're leaves.
Yeah, I want somebody to do the math on that.
That was a strong wind.
Yeah,
Well, it blew away the elephants, but it didn't blow away that one hippo.
Yeah.
And I don't know if oh, sorry, keep going.
Like, I've always been wondering, like, with the alligators, like Ben Alligator and Hyacinth Hippo, that's their names. Like, the alligator is supposed to be, like, in love with the hippo, right? Because there's some source of where I first thought the alligator, like, tried to eat her, but then, like, the alligator is supposed to be, like, in love with the hippo, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's part of the ballet.
Are they trying to eat her?
Well, some are, but one doesn't. One dances with her. And they're dressed like inquisitors. That's like the thing about the ballet. They're the Spanish Inquisition.
Insert Monty Python joke here.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
There it is.
Amongst down weaponry. I forgot the rest.
Yeah, but that's what the ballet La Gioconda is actually about. They're trying to tell the hours of the day, but it's like the big climax before the main characters get tortured by the Inquisition.
Yeah, and then the entire place falls apart. I was
Yeah. How they keep that in. That's so this fun little light upbeat short actually has pretty risque undertones.
Well, yeah, but it's okay because it's slapstick and also they're animals.
Yeah.
And then the alligators start chasing the ostriches with pillows, going, "Confess! Confess! Confess!"
Yeah. It's the only time anybody ever talks in the whole movie.
Yep.
Just so they could say confess.
But you probably also remember the tune as "Hello, Mudda, Hello, Fada." Nobody? Really?
Yeah.
What?
Here I am at Camp Granada.
There you go, Luigi. Thank you.
Oh, well, see, yeah. When I was listening to that one, there was a lot of music there that I recognized by ear, but I never knew the name of it, and I was trying to think, where have I heard that before? Because like it's everywhere. I just don't remember where I've heard it. It's just in your collective subconscious.
Yep, it's one of those little motifs that everyone just kind of knows. And also, never underestimate the power of hippos. I think even in real life, hippos are pretty agile and can run as fast as a human. So.
But I don't think hippos are heavier than elephants.
No.
That's just my hot take today. Because elephants are the largest land mammals, right?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And hippos come in at number 7.
Not bad.
Of
Yeah,
course,
it's funny. Like
they're beaten out by 3 species of elephant and 3 species of rhinoceros.
Oh well, there you go. It's funny how much we, in animation we depict hippos as being overweight and plump, but in real life they're actually pretty athletic.
Yeah, you do not want to get in between a hippo and its territory because it'll just ram right through you and slice you.
I think they're the animal with the second most kills on humans behind mosquitoes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the meme where the hippo opens up his mouth and a rocket just comes out?
No, but I want to now.
You'll never look at Hyacinth the same way again.
And then it flies into the mouth of that guy who's like, nice.
Michael Rosen?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what he's from. What's that?
If the alligator and the hippo had a baby, would it be an overweight alligator or a tall hippo?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, but
I'm
the
pretty
answer
sure
is don't have an interspecies romance.
the answer is an abomination.
right.
Congratulations!
And also having the Dance of the Hours ballet before Bald Mountain kind of ties it into the
debauchery
meta of the story again, because it's right before the torture segment, like Bald Mountain, which was the torture segment.
Why do they torture? Why do they torture them? Is it just like a metaphor?
I think so, yeah, and it's also in the ballet, the Inquisition.
So like a metaphor for day and night.
Yep.
I guess then that's the metaphor for banishing someone to the moon for 1,000 years.
Yep. Send them to the moon.
Send me to the moon.
Send me to
Thursday.
the moon.
I'll send you to the moon Thursday.
Send them to the moon. Send a machine that doesn't work. Send it to the moon.
Like a baby duck. Send them to the
Send-
moon. Turn a bomb that doesn't work. Send it to the moon.
Yeah.
Why? Since we just talked about Princess Luna being sent to the moon, now when she's on the moon, just like trying to mind her own business, getting adjusted, all of a sudden, the alligators pop in and go, "Confess! Confess! Confess!"
Celestia.
And Bald.
It's Discord.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we have that. And the Bald Mountain piece, while you might hear it a lot on Halloween, it's actually for Walpurgisnacht, which is April 30th. Think of it like Springween.
Yeah.
Sounds
this
German.
one, I knew that this was like the magnum opus people considered of the whole shebang,
I kind of like Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Right, but like the grand finale, I guess, so to speak, like the thing that the whole thing's leading up to.
Yeah,
And
Chernobog himself being iconic, just the image of the logo. He's basically the face of the Disney villain brand.
Yeah.
And
So
And
going-
speaking of Chernobog, don't forget to buy your very own Chernobog Funko Pop later this year for the anniversary of Fantasia.
I can't believe that's real.
like Fantasia, like since Walt takes place in springtime, does this mean it's the original Summerween?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it is.
The day after, it's supposed to be the day when the human world and the spirit world line, and then the day after that is May Day. So,
Yay, Mayday!
Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the box office numbers. Fantasia didn't bomb. Only the 2000 did.
well,
I guess Fantasia didn't make a lot of money.
the original also was a roadshow picture, so the cost of touring it and setting up shop and having Fanta sound didn't recoup the budget. Many normal theaters outright refused to play it because of that.
Oh.
Wasn't Fanta sound like a precursor to the surround sound we have today?
Yep. Dolby surround sound, which was not invented by the guy who did She Blinded Me with Science. I think it was his cousin.
Okay. Yeah, you two guys talking about Dolby.
Dolby.
Dolby. And
Yep.
so
Thomas Lee,
going-
who did the song, but I think
Are we
his
talking Harry Potter
cousin
now?
did the Dolby surround sound.
so going into that short, I wasn't sure if it would live up to the hype, but my God, the imagery in that entire thing is absolutely insane. Just like they show no fear going into it, and I have to give Disney so many props for just
Back on the
going
second
all.
word, but not the harpies.
They
They
went
have
all
no fears
in.
and all nipples.
Yeah, frontal nudity. Frank Reynolds from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia would be proud.
Yeah,
And
just,
Don't
that's like
don't
this
worry,
is
relax.
like
It's
the most
artistic
upbeat thing
nudity.
Disney's ever showed to the public. This is just
I don't know why they decided to have it be that one time, but I mean, it makes the short more memorable, so there you go.
yeah, just everything they could think of, they threw it at the wall, and having the iconic image of Chernobog. Yeah, they said. Yeah, Disney basically said, yeah, he's Satan, all right, but we're not going to say that. We'll give him the name of this Russian deity who's only tangentially related.
And just like Gravity Falls with Bill Cipher, like, yeah, he's Satan, but we'll make him like a funny Dorito.
Yeah,
We're not going to say it outright.
Yep.
I think that seems to be the case, but even though they didn't make it a direct reference to Satan, at the end of the day, the power of Christ still compelled him, and that's how the day was saved.
Right.
Yep.
Which I find to be a very, very wholesome way to end this whole awful and this whole awful traumatizing short, to end it with a church service.
Yes,
So once again, the day is saved thanks to the power of Christ.
I guess
Power.
their witty evolution, pagan deity, sexual undertones, and all this debauchery of Bald Mountain. You had to appease the religious right somehow.
Well,
If
could you
think
imagine
about
if
it, all of Fantasia is going against religion, and then Ave Maria is just the apology, because you've got
Could you
black
ima-
magic, evolution, blah 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 blah, but then they throw in the church
Yeah.
service, so everything's okay.
Could you imagine if Fantasia just ended on Chernobog taking over the world?
That'd be an
Damn.
amazing
Of course.
ending.
Well,
Wow.
that would be such a dark way to end it, and it and the guy never comes back. But the guy comes back and he's just like, you've officially died and gone to hell. The end.
Right? But
No,
Bald
he
Mountain
just shows up wearing like a
sound,
devil-eared
so-
headband with a pitchfork saying,
But Bald Mountain,
Just wearing devil pajamas.
See you in a minute.
yeah. But to be fair, the original piece, Bald Mountain, does end with that coda of the day break and the church bells ringing. So it's not too out of the ordinary to just have the happy ending.
Yes.
And it does make sense that they would want to intersplice it with another popular piece of music. And I find it interesting that with the ones that they chose, like the Nutcracker Suite, even though the animators knew it was called the Nutcracker Suite, they specifically did not do anything Nutcracker related.
But they do make allusions to the ballet. There's Sugar Plum Fairies. There's an Arabic, Chinese, and Russian dance with the flowers coated just so. So it still references the ballet, even if it doesn't have a nutcracker.
Wes, I'm going to be honest with you. The only adaptations of the Nutcracker I've seen as a kid, or in my entire life, are the Tom and Jerry version and the Barbie version.
Have you seen the Care Bears version, though?
No, I haven't.
Not exactly.
What the hell was your childhood then?
I remember when I was a kid, I had a tape of the Baryshnikov version, so I really kind of watched that. But yeah, this one still is able to do stuff with nature. It changes the meaning of the piece to the changing of the seasons, which I thought was a pretty clever touch.
I really liked it. But yeah, no, my childhood consisted purely of Barbie and Tom and Jerry. And that's it.
Best
Childhood well spent, if you ask me.
Yeah. Life well spent. So, anything else you guys want to add about Fantasia?
Nope,
I think that's about it.
I do.
Damn,
I'm glad that-
this may be the longest we've talked about a
something
single
to add.
movie on this podcast.
Well, see, there's a lot to unpack here.
True.
And I'm glad that I finally watched it again for the first time in a while, so I was able to come at this with a brand new perspective. And I've got to say, I do feel that now that I have seen it again, I do understand why it's gotten this far in the tournament.
Yeah.
But as for if I'm going to vote for Emperor's New Groove or not,
And now for something completely different.
no, yes, exactly. Boom, baby! It's time to talk about Emperor's New Groove again. A film that I've seen Fantasia once, and I probably don't need to see it again, at least for a while. Emperor's New Groove, I have seen it like at least 5 times at this point.
Yeah, I actually
I could,
the jokes rewatching it, because it's just so fire. It's like the lady saying, "Bless you for coming out in public." I missed that one the first 2 times, but that one's really funny.
Like the Emperor's Groove, in my opinion, is a film that just gets funnier and funnier with age.
Yeah.
it's just like SpongeBob. I mean, when you watch it again, you catch.
And then the diner scene where they just keep missing each other. Like,
there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to eventually see each other, but the fact that they don't just makes it all the more hilarious.
And all the while Kronk is trying to cook their meal.
That is the one thing that I feel the sequel got right. That with Kronk, it makes sense that he would become a chef at that diner.
Yeah.
So I'll give Kronk's New Groove that.
Yeah, Kronk wasn't really evil. He was just doing his job. He was really a well-meaning, nice guy.
and I like the implications with the conversation when Kuzco was like, "So, how old is this guy? Like 20, 30?" Like he was like, "Oh, I'm not really sure." It's really awkward.
Yeah. But underneath all the jokes, there's actually a pretty good character piece here. Like you have Kuzco learning about himself and about being a better emperor. You see, the movie says he's just about to turn 18, so it's a coming of age story too.
Yeah.
Not many Disney films start with the main character essentially being the villain and becoming a completely altruistic person by the end, but still retaining their fun-loving nature.
Yeah, so it's got a good character arc and ideas underneath all that silliness, even though it's really like the ending, how Izuma was defeated, that part had me rolling.
I love
the door on.
That's what my voice sounds like? Whatever.
Yeah, like something I love about the Emperor's New Groove is that it's basically Disney's comedy. Like, this is the first time Disney has ever done like a full-blown animated comedy feature, and it's kind of a shame because I really wish Disney would do more films like that.
Yeah.
The closest I feel we get to pure comedy nowadays, I feel you could argue Zootopia and maybe Wreck-It Ralph.
Or Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah, that
I
too.
guess.
When it comes to like what their specific goal, and with Emperor's New Groove, the goal is specifically to make you laugh, but at the same time, it has a bit more going for it.
Yeah, it has an actual story underneath. It's not just an excuse.
Oh my gosh, Pacha! Like I feel like Pacha is probably one of the more underrated parts of this film.
I did recognize Zeta, the owl lady, as his wife for the rewatch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it had been a while since I'd seen it, and I had watched the Owl House like in its entirety. Then when I watched it again, I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Ida!"
So you know, it's something like about Pacha that like in the TV show, like the Emperor's New Groove, that kind of like surprised me a bit.
What's that?
Like for the first season, like for the first couple, like for a first while of the Emperor's New School, Pacha was voiced by Fred Tatasciore. Is Tatasciore?
I think it's Tatasciore.
Tatasciore. Like but then in the later half of the Emperor's New School, he was voiced again by John Goodman.
Wow.
Like that's always so strange. I'm like, usually it's the other way around, but this time like a voice actor came in and it's like, oh no, hey, I'm free, I can come in. Like that's always the other way around. Usually the original comes in and then he gets busy, then a second one guy comes in. But no, this is the other way around. It's always kind of surprising.
Like Nathan Lane with Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah.
In the context of the waterfall scene makes it funnier. After all the stuff they're going through, the waterfall seems so blasé to them.
Yeah.
I've seen so many memes using that template, just like describing 2020, and it just like, is it murder hornets? No.
Yep.
Is it hurricanes? No. Is there going to be stay-at-home orders at the bottom? Most likely. Bring it on.
Yeah!
So much. I cannot believe that Pacha's character was almost going to be voiced by Owen Wilson.
Oh my god, that would have worked at all.
Because The Emperor's New Groove was a completely different film. Like, it was basically like a Prince and the Pauper type story.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm Owen Wilson. I'm gonna like voice this David Spade lookalike here, and wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a broken nose, but don't worry, I'm fine.
Wow. Broken nose. Wow.
But I remember what I said my friend had the same nose as Owen Wilson, and when he looked up Owen Wilson's nose, he was like, okay, my nose is not that bad, dude.
And also, the narration, the way they play with the narration idea is funny. Yeah, Kuzco eventually catches up to himself, but while he's doing it, he's just keeping the straight face and keeping the performance going.
Mm-hmm.
He's been an unreliable narrator.
Yeah,
And like you see Pacha having a really emotional moment because he's trying to figure out how to break it to his family that they're going to be kicked off of their land. But then Kuzco interrupts, like, okay, so I know he that this looks pretty bad, but just remember, he's the bad guy, not me. I'm the victim here.
Yeah. I also love how like he changes between like even when he's breaking the fourth wall, he's still a llama. Like when he just changed to a llama, I always thought that was a great detail.
Yeah. Because Pacha, I feel, is a very good foil for Kuzco, because whereas Kuzco only thinks about himself, Pacha sees the good in everyone, and that's why he ultimately goes back to help Kuzco out when he's alone in the forest. But even then, we see his faith in the goodness of humanity get tested a bit on the bridge scene, where they legitimately start to fight each other. But then when Kuzco saves his life, like completely instinctually, that's when Pacha sees that maybe there is hope. And
like how they climb up the cliff the same way they climb up in the temple in the climax.
That's a callback. I love it.
Yeah, I also like how when it looks like they're gonna do the Act 2 breakup. This film is one of the better examples of that, because when Kuzco tries to apologize, and Pacha just says, "You're tired of being a llama." Yes.
He makes a lousy llama.
Yeah.
Because because at that point Pacha just kind of knew, so like he was basically waiting for Cusco to come back since he was so understanding.
Yeah, like it's so touching actually.
Yeah.
For a moment, Cusco was like completely defeated and almost decided to be a llama for the rest of his life. But if Pacha wasn't there, he would have been eating grass like with the other llamas and just not enjoying it at all.
Yeah, well, it may have been a surprise. I'm glad this film got to the final four. I'm glad it's getting that sort of reevaluation it needed.
Because even though it didn't bomb necessarily, it deserved much more praise than it got at the time.
From sort of a somewhat forgotten movie to not only being well regarded, but considered one of Disney's best. I mean, heck, it made it this far.
It beat the number one seed overall. How is it not going to be the champion? Is my question.
There's a
we need
real
champion
possibility
in
of
this
that.
time. And that champion should be Emperor Cusco.
Yeah, like,
Cusco, best Disney princess.
as much as I really love Fantasia and I love the landmark it made in the animation, the Emperor's New Groove just really hits home for me. Like, it was some of the emotion it has, but a lot of the laughs it has, it just gets my vote instantly.
Wait, wouldn't Kronk be the Disney princess though, since he talks to squirrels?
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that they share similar characteristics. But we don't know who.
Squeaking.
I think the squirrel was voiced by Bob Bergen, if I'm correct.
Porky.
Yeah. One of the only Mel Blanc replacements to be considered better than Mel Blanc.
Oh wow,
that's high praise.
Because Bob Bergen has been voicing Porky Pig for 20 years, like the most consistently out of any Mel Blanc replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see why. I remember in a voice acting documentary they were interviewing Bob Bergen, and he was like going over the art of how to do Porky Pig, and he's like, and that's how you make a living for 20 years. That's how you put food on the table.
That's cool. And I love how he does the stutter. But yeah, Emperor's New Groove. That really surprised me with Bob Bergen doing that voice. So
I think we've already gone over plenty of times how the casting director for this film deserves all the praise in the world, because not David Spade and John Goodman are one thing, because they're perfect for their characters, but to put together Patrick Warburton and Eartha Kitt as one of the most hilarious and iconic comedy duo villains in Disney history, I don't know how they came up with that, but it really is magical.
Yeah.
Now I'm just wondering what a Patrick Warburton song would sound like if they had went with the original Broadway version of this film.
Just imagine that scene from Family Guy where Joe sings the American Dad theme song. Good morning, USA. I got a feeling that it's gonna be a wonderful day.
Or like him doing the big band records at the credits. The show should have more Joe Swanson.
That being said, Snuff Out the Light. If you haven't given it a listen, viewers, my gosh, please, because it is absolutely fantastic. And Eartha Kitt, I miss her so much.
Fun fact: Snuff Out the Light was actually performed at a Disneyland Paris stage show featuring Max Goof.
Ooh. So what? Like James Marsden did it?
No, Yzma crashed a stage show that was starring Max.
Oh, that's awesome! I love that.
Performing Snuff Out the Light, and then
why is it
Cusco
that other
comes in
countries always
combating
get the
her
good
and
stuff with
stands.
Disney?
What?
Why is it that other countries always get the good stuff with Disney parks?
I don't know.
I used to say the same thing about Tokyo Disney Sea's Fantasmic before the 2.0 reboot.
I've never been to any Disney parks, and I probably won't for a while.
I've been to the Orlando one.
We have to change that.
Orlando's pretty neat. They have some good stuff, but a lot of the experimental stuff goes on in Paris, like introducing Oswald, the Buffalo Bill show. Tokyo has that Beauty and the Beast ride that looks really awesome.
I have considered going to the Orlando one, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I want to go to Florida.
It's theme parks are different.
Yeah. Well, just be sure you don't step into actual Florida. You don't want to go there.
Yeah, it's like Disney walled off their theme park on some lake in the Everglades, removed from civilization.
We passed by some sort of school for special ed people. No, Peter, that was the University of Florida.
What's the difference?
Yeah, hey-o.
Yeah, so, what do you guys think? We gonna go with, how many are you gonna go with the Emperor's New Groove, and how many are you gonna go with Fantasia?
I'm going Emperor's New Groove.
My vote is yes.
What about you, Leslie?
I think I ended up going for Fantasia just out of respect, and I think because I'd watched it more recently. But Emperor's New Groove is just hilarious, and I would love if it was able to pull off the unthinkable and win it all.
Well, guess what? My money is going towards Emperor's New Groove, too.
All right.
I don't care which wins, because either way, I'll be satisfied.
Art be damned, comedy is king.
The final four are stacked. I am proud of the voters.
Yeah, man.
If the Emperor's New Groove wins, I will drink water.
If the Emperor's New Groove wins, I will breathe.
Wow, that's a pretty
You better
tall
vote
order
fast,
there.
folks. His face is turning blue. And you know what happens when live action things turn blue? They get terrible.
And then they get sort of maybe acceptable after the second trailer.
Right. That's actually a good segue to the next movie.
Yay.
All right.
Wow, we spent a lot of time there, but
we gotta stretch out these four films.
I guess so, but
and we've talked about them for like 4 rounds now. So
that said, let's get to the next Final Four matchup. 2 movies that are actually consecutive in production order: Aladdin and The Lion King.
All right, so I told you guys that I had done a little preliminary research for this round, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen all of these films many times, but up to this point, I hadn't seen the Lion King remake. I watched it last night so that I could have a brand new perspective going in to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you recommend it?
Let's talk about Aladdin, shall we?
Okay.
What do you guys think?
I haven't seen the Aladdin remake, but the original is just so funny. It's easily one of the most quotable Disney movies.
I've seen the Aladdin remake, and I freaking hated it.
Now you see with the original Aladdin, though, of all the movies that we watched for it, this one's soundtrack, the soundtrack here has been living in my head rent-free for the last few days.
Yeah. That's what Alan Menken does to you, man.
Yeah.
The power of that big brass, because this was originally supposed to be Cab Calloway style, and they make a reference to it in the remake when they're going down the stairs.
Oh, jeez.
What I really love about how Robin Williams took Friend Like Me, even though the original Friend Like Me wasn't even written to be sung by someone by the likes of Robin Williams, he just took the song and made it all of his own, that nobody else could top him on that one. That's how much of a great performance it is.
Yeah.
It's one of Disney's greatest performances in musical history.
Friend Like Me, I feel, is the epitome of making a case for why animation is perfect for certain storytelling techniques. And Friend Like Me is perfect for hand-drawn animation.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, but the remake, though, with Will Smith, it just, ruined the whole feeling of it.
And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because it felt a bit too dense. Like things were moving by too fast, and it didn't really give you a chance to appreciate it. Most of the time, Aladdin is a pretty boringly shot film, but whenever it's the musical numbers, with Friend Like Me, that's when they start to do a bit more crazy camera work, and it just moves a bit too fast because it's all animated.
Well, by the law of averages, it should work out then.
Yeah. Some
too
people
boring.
might think that Genie's cultural references might get kind of old, but he uses them sparingly, and they're just stuff people would already recognize. So, and it's also a funny joke on its own at parts.
And plus, Robin Williams is just such a fantastic performer that when I was a kid, I didn't know what any of those references were. I just thought it was funny because, haha, funny man does funny voices.
Yeah, just doing those voices.
So now I'm just thinking of the memes where it's like, no, you can't make pop culture references in an animated movie. Haha, funny man do funny voices.
Have you guys ever seen the deleted scenes of Aladdin with the unused footage of Robin Williams?
No, like the one where he says, "Right, I'll be very quiet," and he starts like sealing himself up with a bunch of boards, like shit.
Yeah, or how the merchant at the beginning was supposed to be the genie at the end.
Yeah,
they did.
I kind of like how throughout the films they never really say if he's actually the genie, especially in the third one, because they're never on screen together, which I always thought was a great touch.
They have the same color pattern. They both have 4-fingered hands.
The genie, they have the beard as well.
They don't have the same singing voice, though.
No, that's the beauty of Robin Williams.
I heard that Robin Williams was going to sing Arabian Nights, but the pitch went up a bit too high for his vocal cords, so that's when they got the late Bruce Adler to take over.
Yeah, right. But also for the third movie, it's interesting you mentioned that they talk all about the law about how Jasmine can only marry royalty. Well, in the third movie, Aladdin is technically the Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, actually, I said I watched the Lion King.
Imagine if that wish when like Aladdin's dad was made the King of Thieves, so technically it did work out that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Raccoon Bro, what else did you watch?
I watched Aladdin 3. And I had watched Aladdin 2 a while ago, but like this week I decided to watch King of Thieves, and I was surprised by how entertaining it was. It was great that we finally got Robin Williams back, like for one last ride as the genie.
Yeah,
and he brought back the heart and the energy that we all remember the character for.
Yeah, he makes a much better genie than a guy trying to be Robin Williams being the genie.
Yeah, and I found the relationship between Aladdin and his dad to also be quite interesting too. I like how at the end it doesn't just end with them, like living happily together. Like his dad is a criminal, so he does end up having to stay on the run. It was just nice that they were able to at least have an emotional reconciliation at the very least.
So the voice of the main villain of that movie, Saluk, is actually voiced
by Jerry Orbach.
Yeah, Lumiere.
I wasn't able to recognize it was him, so when I looked up the BTVA page, I was pleasantly surprised. But part of me kind of heard it, like during the "Are You In or Are You Out" song.
Yeah.
There were quite a few recognizable voice actors there, such as the great Rob Paulson.
And Jess Harnell, I think he was I think he was the big thief, or was that Frank Welker? I'm not sure.
Not sure. Well, there were some jokes here that took me off guard, like when the elephants were attacking the wedding, and the genie was like, "Oh, I thought the earth wasn't supposed to start shaking till honeymoon."
I always love that joke.
I especially love this one too. Do not attempt to move, or we'll be shooting ourselves.
Go red, go red, go red, go red, go red.
Geronimo, Pocahontas.
I love Aladdin and Iago's faces during that whole scene, because like they're like used to this by now.
Yeah.
Ah, shit! Here we go again.
It's Genie. Don't question it.
Yep.
And
do not attempt to move, or we will be shooting.
Yeah, but also, just like Emperor's New Groove, this one has a good balance of character and comedy. It's got a compelling arc, and it's about how Aladdin actually has to learn something about himself and about others.
It is such a great character arc. I still posit that Aladdin has one of the best developments of any protagonist in Disney, which is why it's so frustrating that people only talk about the genie or the music in this film. They don't talk about anything else that this movie does right. It's
like
just
Jasmine.
always
Hello.
Or Iago and Jafar. Like nobody ever talks about them. It's always just Genie or the music. And it those are great elements, but they're not the only great elements.
But with the Aladdin remake, has probably the most forgettable Disney character ever, and that's Jasmine's handmaiden. Dahlia, I think her name was.
Yeah, she was played by Nassim Pedrad of an SNL alum.
End up with the genie. Like,
it's funny how they tried to give Jasmine and Aladdin, more screen time together, like trying to develop their relationship more. But then you got this other relationship where like the two just immediately fall for each other.
Yeah,
just like we're gonna have a boat and have several kids.
Like, what the hell was that conversation about?
So part of me thinks that that conversation, like they said it because they were telling that story to their kids, so they just kind of wanted to. So they like told some lies a little bit, like, and that's what we said at the time. Like we wanted to have you guys.
And that's how I met your mother.
And that's why I decided to give up a phenomenal cosmic power to just be a normal dude.
Yeah, that's lame. Like, I liked it better when the genie was free. He was still magic. I mean, that was cool.
So when they bring back the sequel, they don't have to worry about spending millions of dollars on CGI animation. They could just have Will Smith be Will Smith.
Yeah, and the comedy in the remake was just bad. Like, they were bringing up some like jams. They kept bringing up so many jams about. They kept talking about jams.
Yeah, and they had that elongated dance sequence that didn't really add anything to the story either.
You mean the dance party ending?
No, not the ending. I mean the part where like Aladdin is being controlled by Genie, and then Aladdin's like, I think you took it too far, man.
Yeah. Well, like in the dance party ending, we see Jasmine beatboxing.
Wait, what?
You don't remember in the dance party ending of Aladdin, we see Jasmine beatboxing.
I don't remember that.
It happened. I'm not making this up.
I probably blacked that part out.
Well, here's the thing. I wish that Will Smith sang that version of Friend Like Me at the beginning, because Will Smith should just be Will Smith. He shouldn't be trying to do Robin Williams, because he's not Robin Williams. He's Will Smith. Like, we don't know him as the guy that plays like 1,000 voices a minute. We just know him as a really charming individual that also had a very vanilla rap career.
When it comes to the comedy of the remake, the only time I've ever seen something like this unfunny was like, I think, Magic Duel, the My Little Pony episode. Like, that's how much I didn't like the comedy of Aladdin, because like, and it also really bothered me because this is based on a film that I really, really love, like the original.
Yeah, like, and I do remember one thing I laughed at was the part where Jafar just kills a guy for calling him second best. Like, I just remember laughing because of how out of nowhere it was. Like, oh my gosh, like, why is that pit there?
Maybe they were trying to foreshadow his hubris when he was trying to become a genie.
Part of me wants to believe that they were referencing the song Second Rate. Yeah. But I don't know if they actually were.
But
again, that imagery kind of gives me Ratigan vibes. Like, that's something Ratigan from Great Mouse Detective would do.
Yeah, but like with Ratigan, it's cool. But with here, it's just unintentionally hilarious.
Also, why does Jafar in the remake sound like he's a racist South Park character?
And why does Iago just sound like a normal parrot?
Because he's been too Jafar away.
They even had Alan Tudyk do the voice. Why pay him to do sound effects?
And Alan Tudyk was also in this film as a live action character too.
I'm just like, if you're gonna make Iago like just do those sound effects, like repeat stuff, you could have brought Gilbert Gottfried back. It would have been fine. He would have been happy to do it.
He voices Affleck.
Yeah, but the whole thing was just so much energy in the original. Like, even the Prince Ali scene, there's always movement. There's always some stuff going on. There's always bouncing off the walls.
I always get goosebumps every single time they open that door and the crescendo of Prince Ali happens. Like, it is just so magical.
Right.
Yeah.
And I I always think about the part where he's the king, the sultan. God, I almost called him the king. The sultan is being given the carpet ride, and they go under Abu as an elephant.
That magic carpet must be faster than light because it went around the world in about a night, and also got to Agrabah from the North Pole pretty fast.
And they also got to Mulan's hometown, like to watch the fireworks before Mulan was a thing.
Yeah.
And imagine the whole new world scene, but with realistic sound effects from like air resistance.
Realistic physics. Well, yeah,
and then they include the scene from the Lilo and Stitch trailer where Stitch ends up trying to pick up Jasmine.
Well, in the remake, they try to explain it like with portals.
What?
Oh, it's like Castle Run all over again.
They use
portals, explain right
They use
now.
portals in the remake.
Yeah.
The hell?
To explain why they get around the world so quickly.
If I were
stupid.
to quote Woody from Toy Story,
What? What are you talking about?
Kind of reminds me of the Han Solo movie where they justified him making the Castle Run in less than 12 parsecs by taking a wormhole shortcut.
Oh, come on.
Some things just don't need to be explained. Just enjoy the ride.
The original line was meant to be a bluff anyway.
Well, and in the Family Guy version, they were like, isn't parsecs a measure of distance, not time?
Hey.
And Hans was like, yeah, but you were saying realistic physics with Aladdin. Have you ever seen the SNL skit for Aladdin where it was a whole new world, but it was like modern day? So they were like underneath an airplane, and like the airplane was like releasing its it was releasing exhaust.
Really?
So like they got covered in a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Was Nassim Pedrad in that sketch?
No.
It
was Sesame Strong.
Impractical uses of air travel ever.
It was Cecily Strong. I don't think Nassim Pedrad was a cast member yet.
Guys, excuse me for just a second.
Okay. So I guess it is one of those things where it's about the magic of it. And when you have something like a whole new world where you just get lost in the emotion of it all, you don't really care about real world physics. You just accept it for what it is, because at the end of the day, it's art and it's trying to make you feel something, not necessarily think about the logistics of it. And I always feel what they're going for in that scene, because it's Jasmine like seeing the world for the first time, and the crescendo of when they're going into the air, and it's exhilarating, it's fast paced, and it's exactly what Aladdin needed to do to finally win Jasmine over as the Prince Ali persona.
and guys,
What?
Since you guys talked about Aladdin and Mulan, could you imagine like in different Disney movies, like at nighttime, Aladdin and Jasmine just fly by them?
Yeah, I could. They are talking about doing that Disney princess crossover, possibly.
Wait, what?
Ooh.
They're making that a thing? Really?
Well, they said they would if like a story came around.
Okay, like I was saying, like, you heard recent news about it?
This like their guys from Ralph Breaks the Internet were talking about it, and just like if we come up with a story, we're open to it.
Oh, I've got a story. It's called Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I've got a story. It's called fan fiction, and there's a self-insert character who, and all the princesses are like, "Wow, you're so cool," and at the climax, you're like, "Step aside, ladies. I got this one."
And that character's name is Y/N.
Okay.
In parentheses.
Like, could you imagine, like, in The Lion King, if that scene with Mufasa and Simba looking at the stars, you say, "Look at the stars. The great king's of a whole new world." It's like, but it just ignored those guys. They're
Like, okay,
They're like,
that was a strange little
Dad, what the heck was that?
Just
that was a
ignore
strange
them,
little non
Simba.
sequitur.
Just ignore them.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about that. It's the
Yeah.
only time humans appear in the entire film.
Yeah.
It's like a Rick and Morty gag.
yeah.
Just like something happens, you're like, just don't worry about it, Morty. It doesn't matter. They're robots. It's okay.
And speaking of the Lion King, I think that's what we need to discuss next.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna be blunt. I'm not gonna say I loathe the Lion King remake because at the end of the day, it's still the same story, and they keep most of the things like the same for the most part. So like it's not unwatchable, I guess you could say, because like it's a good story. But that being said, just because it's watchable, that doesn't mean I would want to watch it again because it's the same story but watered down.
Exactly.
It doesn't have the same impact because they chose animals that are the least expressive animals on the planet. Like
There's no difference between Simba and Scar's models. Who am I supposed to root for?
Yeah.
people who own
you're
cats.
supposed to root for Rafiki.
I am a cat person, but I am never able to tell when my cat is being playful or trying to pounce me or when he's hungry or when he's pissed, like because they have the same they have resting bitch face is what I like to call it all the time. So that's what I felt with this film, because the very first shot of the movie is the yeah, but it's off center. It's like not symmetrical. There's a tree in the foreground. It's not. And it's also not as colorful too. It's just like immediately a downgraded version of something that's already perfect.
Yeah,
And
feel
that's
like
why some things are
cameramen
best in less
who
than
stayed around
animation
for
instead of
hours
being
shooting just
adapted.
landscape.
Like the original, what made the original opening so good is that the sun is the first thing we see. Like it lights up the whole thing. But when
also-
it comes to the remake, when it just see like a jungle of it, just like the random tree, it sets the fun out of it a little bit.
Yeah,
I remember. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
it's silence at first, but then no exposition, no people. They just dump you right in.
And that's why it's so iconic. But
Yeah.
I remember a really good joke from Game Grumps when they were playing Ocarina of Time, and it was the scene where Link met Zelda for the first time, and like during that cutscene when they were talking, there was like you could like see a flower in the background like between them, and like Dan mentioned that, it's like, hey, isn't it weird that the camera's focused on us but it's us at the same time and it draws your attention towards this flower at the background? It's kind of a little weird when it comes to staging.
Yeah,
So like that's how I felt when I saw that first shot of the film.
yeah. There's no real reason to watch this movie over the original, the remake over the original, because the original just does it so much better. There's so much action. It just feels more epic. It feels like a grander scope. That's probably why it worked so well on the big screen, because it's got all these landscapes and these larger than life animal creatures. And with a totally animal conflict, there's no humans at all, even in passing mention. So
I would love to see this movie on the big screen because like just thinking about the gorge scene or just the reveal of Timon and Pumbaa's home, just thinking about how breathtaking those landscapes are. I couldn't even imagine what that would be like in the theater.
Yeah, I saw it back in 2011. Me and my dad and my stepmom and his wife went to see it with me. And it was really a great experience.
Oh man! One thing also that watching the remake made me appreciate the original more aspect wise is the lighting, because when it comes to the lighting, it brings a whole new element to certain scenes. It makes them far more memorable. Like the shot, like the dolly shot of zooming into Simba's face when he realizes that a bunch of wildebeests are coming down the gorge. I think about that shot is ingrained in my memory because you see the look of terror in his eyes and how the screen like goes like nearly pitch black because of how how insane, like you realize that shit is about to go down.
Yeah, and also sound editing too. Like they talk about Jim Cummings and be prepared, even knowing where it happens, even knowing that he comes in. I hear that. I still can't tell. I'm like, you sure that's Jim Cummings? It's seamless transition.
The only way I was able to tell was that I could hear less of a British accent in his voice because like his R's were a bit more pronounced. That's the only thing that gave it away for me.
Yeah, that's about it. But it still sounds basically seamless. He did a good job.
But then in the remake, it was basically just like slam poetry.
One verse.
She died for our Cynthias.
Yeah, lazy. It's like the epitome of lazy.
Apparently, that was like a last-minute addition because people were angry that Be Prepared was cut.
Oh, joy.
Wait, what was the last-minute addition?
The Be Prepared segment in the remake.
Oh my god.
I guess, like, I don't know. It was cool. I like Eric Andre. He's funny, but he's like not in that much of the movie, so I wouldn't exactly call him a selling point.
What if we made Rafiki purple?
Ooh.
Yeah, I love being purple.
Oh, yeah.
What if we didn't give Rafiki one of his most iconic character objects until the very end of the film?
His
staff. He doesn't have the staff until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, he doesn't like do this thing where he goes like the past can hurt. He doesn't do that part in the remake. That's one of the most iconic parts of the original. It sets the moral up.
Yeah,
he doesn't do it.
Okay.
And also, you realize why Pumbaa is a cartoon because real warthogs are too ugly.
And
say guys, you want me to tell you something funny that me and Star Giant came up with?
What's that?
What's that?
Oh, he muted himself. Oh,
come here. She's with me right here. I'll let her tell you.
Bring us the funny.
Give us the funny.
I had this joke I made up for Rafiki. So you know that part where he's running with Simba through the woods?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know how he says stop and then take a look? Well, I have a bonus joke with that now. It's like, wee, stop. Wee.
It just keeps going. It's like red light, green light. Stop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Rafiki, what a treasure.
Yeah, dude, I miss his voice actor, dude. Like that hurt me when I found out he died.
Yeah, but like this is Disney's most epic movie. Other films had tried to set the stage of a big journey and great stakes and great thriller stuff, but Lion King is pretty much the apotheosis of that.
Also, I can't really think of a transition for this one, but I just wanted to point out that you guys, you know, like the Morning Report part where Zazu like makes all those animal puns.
That's not. Oh, the talking one, not the musical number, but yeah, the like that part, the puns.
Yeah, and he's like, but as I always say, cheetahs never prosper. But in the remake, they make a reference to Twitter.
Oh no!
When did they do this?
He said the birds are tweeting at 4 a.m., but it's like I say, no one ever listens to tweets at 4 a.m.
Oh no!
Oh,
5 out of 10.
Somebody.
How did I forget about that?
So it's just like like Moana. The worst joke in that movie is when he makes a reference to tweeting. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. Well, the internet had the Twitter birds, but they have them being nice and friendly, which is a completely inaccurate representation.
Twitter saves the day in the Emoji Movie.
Oh, don't remind me. Like when I first saw that clip of the Emoji Movie when the tweet comes in, I felt like I was going through a homicidal mess. Because like I was like, made it stop. This is literally gonna be the end of me.
Oh, one of my favorite jokes from Pony's the Anthology was one of the more recent ones where it was from the episode where Discord takes over the school and like Starlight and Spike come in and Discord says, be quiet, you'll let the Twittermites out. And Spike was like, Twittermites? Then the Twittermites come, but like with Twitter like photoshopped onto it, and they go like, fuck you, motherfucker! They electrocute him. It's like the Red Letter Media guy.
Yeah. But so yeah, did we cover all our bases with Lion King?
Can I just do one thing? Like, it's a tradition. Like, I had to sing something for the Lion King.
Do it.
And I want you guys to join in, like, when the time is right.
Okay.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, deedly deedy. There they are, standing in the road. Big one, small one,
Yeah, I don't know the lyrics.
I don't know what is next, but
I just think about
I'm a scat man.
I just think about the Dragon Balls version. I've got a lovely bunch of Dragon Balls. And
in fact, that was written by Drew Griffin, the man who made Jeopardy.
I want you guys to take
Yeah.
I want you guys to take a moment and imagine yourself in the shoes of James Earl Jones. You are an accomplished actor. You are considered you are one of the few people to be considered an EGOT, like a honorary EGOT.
Yeah.
The Lion King is one of your most iconic performances. You record it in 1994. I guess before that. You see it in 1994. Everyone praises it, and you're like, yes, this is my magnum opus. I will forever be remembered as Darth Vader and Mufasa, and my other roles as well. I can finally know that my legacy is secure. 25 years later, Disney approaches you. Hey, we want you to read the same lines again, but this time as an old man.
I feel bad for that. Actually, I will admit, James Earl Jones does still sound like himself at times, like in the remake.
He's an old man. He sounds out of breath.
I guess. Well, did I tell you about like how they like a line from his in the original, like audio wise?
What's that?
In the original line at the Stampede, he says the line, "Hold on, Simba." In the remake, they cut it up and put it with new audio, but it clearly doesn't match. Now it sounds like, "I'm coming, Simba. Hold on."
Oh yeah, I noticed that. That did sound a little jarring, and I wasn't sure why.
I'm just like, why would you like cut this audio up, mix it up, instead of just like reusing the same audio or doing the audio again? Like, it was one of those minor things that like really frustrated me when I first saw it. It really got me mad. Also,
Scar just told like Zazu to go and get the pride instead of knocking him out, and so I'm thinking, well, wait, wouldn't the pride then come and eventually see what happened if he told Zazu to just go get the pride?
Yeah, I imagine just after he's killed Mufasa, he's like, okay, good thing nobody saw that. What did you do?
What happened?
Like, shit. The hyenas did it.
Goodbye.
Right.
Simba did it.
Yeah, did that cover everything?
It was my nephew.
Yeah. So I think, Lion King. It's a fantastic coming of age tale, and most people make a stink about the climax and how Simba doesn't come out on top until Scar admits that he's the one who actually did it. But I feel like part of that people kind of overplay that a bit too much because the moral still holds true.
Yeah. And again, I think kind of Simba didn't know. He just blamed himself, but he didn't really know. So
my question to you guys is, how do you think the film would have been if Scar never revealed that he killed Mufasa? Just like Simba believes that he did it the whole time and never learns the truth. What do you guys?
No, that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked.
That's too dark. That kind of goes against the message.
Yeah. Because like it wasn't his fault.
And also the reason for the surprise is because there's no witnesses. Zazu gets knocked out, so.
And I remember Your Movie Sucks was watching a review from Confused Matthew, like the infamous Lion King Confused Matthew review, and it got he was talking about and here we have one of the biggest problems. There's no reason Simba should believe it's his fault just because he was there. And just Your Movie Sucks was listening to and being like, he roared. He thought he did it because he roared. How did you miss that?
There were no witnesses either, so...
Scar told him to practice his roar. How did you miss that?
I gotta see that at some point, because I saw him do a video on Kimba, which was pretty good.
Oh, dude, that one's a masterpiece.
I hope it doesn't give
I'll
people
link that.
impressions of Kimba, though. The Tezuka run's actually pretty decent.
I find it funny that when Osamu Tezuka finally got like full creative control, there was a lot more blackface in the show.
Yeah.
Despite the more dated elements, Kimba's actually got a decent story of racial undertones and ideas. Walt Disney actually met Osamu Tezuka at the 64 World's Fair. They were fans of each other's work. Walt said, I hope to make something as great as Astro Boy. And Tezuka said Donald Duck was his big inspiration.
I mean, Tezuka is basically the Walt Disney of Japan, so that's really cool.
Yeah, that's like...
Have you ever seen the art from like,
Hooray, mutual admiration.
Donald together?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That is true. So what are we ultimately voting for in this one?
I
vote Lion King.
Because I ended up enjoying it more and liking the story more, but I won't lose sleep if Lion King wins. It's good.
I decided to go with Aladdin in the end because it's a bit more important to my childhood at the end of the day, because both of these films are kind of hard to compare because they're both equally fantastic. So Aladdin just kind of slightly edged out in that regard.
That's Final Four. It is stacked. So
because here's the thing with me, because you guys know that with Lion King, my appreciation for it is a bit more recent. Like, I used to find it a bit more overrated, but with Aladdin, I always loved that movie.
Yeah.
Same.
To me though, like, as much as I love Aladdin, like, The Lion King and Aladdin are actually my two favorite Disney films, like my top two favorites. But I gotta give it to The Lion King. Like, that one is just my ultimate favorite.
Although I will say, though, admittedly, when I say all my life, that excludes the part of my life where I was a rebellious young boy and boycotted all things Disney because I thought it was just for girls.
You swine!
I'm so glad I missed that phase.
Yeah.
Phase? What phase?
The Disney's for girls phase.
That all little boys go through.
Come on, I'll still watch Little Mermaid. That's fine.
Oh, by the way, Yoda, I posted the video in the chat that I talked about.
Thank you. Is it about is it the newest one or his first round?
It's from 2008, I believe.
Okay.
That's old school.
But like the YMS video itself was 3 months ago, but like he was watching the old school review.
Oh.
And it was like during one of his streams, and it's like somebody highlights his streams.
Okay.
It's very funny. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll give that a watch later.
So is that a wrap?
Yeah, I think so.
I guess that's a wrap.
Yeah.
You guys clearly did more of the talking, but you sure did a lot of it. So
We have a lot to say because this was a great Final Four.
I know
it helps that these are such awesome movies.
Like I'd mentioned in the DeviantArt update that it's hard for me to think of a more ideal Final Four than the one we have now. Like, the only thing that I might change is replacing Aladdin with Zootopia to get some of the more, recent representation.
Yeah, 'cause we don't have any CGI films because, as we all know, the internet hates CGI and loves hand-drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised my Final Four predictions, my initial ones, were only one off from what we have.
I forgot what my Final Four predictions are.
Yeah.
Well, I had Lion King. I backed it from the beginning, so I'm in good shape.
The only one I got wrong was The Little Mermaid. Other than that, it's
hard
spot on.
how the bracket is structured. It all depends on who was faced. And Lion King, I think, not only was beloved, but had one of the easier paths.
Yeah. I mean, still, it kind of had to struggle to beat Lilo and Stitch.
Yep.
Yeah, that was definitely its biggest contender, especially since Lilo and Stitch is such a beloved film in recent memory.
Right.
But it didn't have a live action remake, so it lost.
Yet.
Yet. They're bringing Chris Sanders back. I have faith.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I have faith.
Because you gotta have faith.
Did I mention that Chance the Rapper is in The Lion King?
Really?
Yeah, but he only has like 2 lines.
Aw.
The hyena?
No, he's like a random animal that lives in the same jungle as.
I think the one they just added for that uncomfortable predator joke.
For because now Timon and Pumbaa like live with like a whole community instead of just by themselves for some reason.
You know, that totally dilutes the message.
Which message?
About their isolation and about Simba just going out. Now Simba just moves from one community to another.
Oh yeah.
So it loses its impact.
Also, one of the animals is voiced by what
Philomar.
What the cat? What's the cat's name from BoJack Horseman?
Sarandon, I think.
Like the main character?
Yeah, the main character. She's a cat.
Princess Carolyn.
Princess Carolyn. She's also in the movie for like 2 lines.
Wow.
And Samurai
Isn't that
Jack
how
too.
like most celebrity appearances in movies work these days?
Yeah, but it's like Samurai Jack is also in the movie for like 2 lines. So it's like, okay, so are you gonna have celebrities do the random lines or
Some
voice
celebrities
actors?
do it better than others.
Whatever.
So I guess that's a wrap then?
I guess so. This
Yeah.
was a lot of
Thank
fun.
you all for joining us.
Come back next time for the reveal of the championship round.
I'm very glad that we got a lot of mileage out of this, despite only talking about 4 films.
Me
I
too.
agree.
All right.
Okay, I guess I'll see you
So,
around.
Oh, have you stopped recording?
no, we're still going.
Oh, okay.
Before we